I'm going to read verse 1. And God blessed Noah and his sons, and he said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. Shall we commit the study to the Lord in prayer? Loving Heavenly Father, we say thank you to you for the time you have given to us to gather together and study Genesis chapter 9. As we go through it, Lord, open our understanding. Help us to understand many of the things which have been recorded in chapter 9, that we'll realize what you have in mind when you conveyed this many years back to your people, which we have today as a written document. Grant us your grace. Thank you for everyone who joined. Continue to touch and speak to us through your Spirit. Committing the study of the word into your hands, we offer this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Now, what happened is, we have seen it already, that God decided to destroy every living thing, man and animal, everything, whatever has got life, from this earth through a flood. And we have seen that there was a global flood, it destroyed, and there are enough of the proofs of the global flood remaining even today. One of the greatest proofs is fossils. How do you get a fossil? Only because of a global flood. You bury something, it doesn't become a fossil today. So the fossils we find around the world are a proof there was a deluge at some time or other. Now, the waters receded. We have seen that how long Noah remained in the ark, more than a year. He gathered enough food. Now, they have stepped out of the ark. That is in the mountains of Ararat. If you are watching the news, just a few days back, I don't know whether anybody watched the Fox News. One of the main items of the Fox News was this: the Noah's Ark in Ararat. Is it a really ark or not? A lot of discussion goes. They found a place in the mountains of Ararat. They think it's Noah's Ark, and they want to go inside that and see what is there. Anyhow, that is, if you are interested, you can look into that. They stepped out of the ark in the country called Turkey today, in the mountains of Ararat. Right? Verse 9, and chapter 9, verse 1. God blessed Noah and his sons, and he said to them the same thing which he told Adam: be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth. That seemed to be a command. Go around and fill this whole earth. That's what God wanted the man to do. Right? Now, in chapter 9, there are a number of changes which come into play, which is different from what God created first, which we read in Genesis chapter 1 and 2. And when he put man there, that is getting changed. We need to look at one by one, what is the change and why is the change. In Genesis chapter 1 and 2, there was perfect harmony in the entire creation. Perfect harmony. That harmony was broken because of the disobedience to start with, and the harmony was broken next time by the two brothers, Cain and Abel. They should live in harmony. The whole world is for you. What is that you are going to fight? Can you think of that? They fought, and then the elder brother kills the younger brother. That's how it comes. Now, look at verse 2. That harmony is getting broken. Verse 2, and the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, on every bird of the air, and on all that move on the earth, and all the fish of the sea. They are given into your hand. There's a change now. We need to understand why the change has come. There was no fear of animal and man those days. No animal will fear a man, run away from him. They will come, they will all mix up. Between the animals also, there was no fear. But suddenly God says, after He destroys the world through a flood, I'm going to put a fear of you on the animals. There's a reason for that. If we start looking at it further down, we will understand what the reason is. Verse 3. Look at verse 3. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. There's a total change from what it was in Genesis chapter 1. He said very clearly, isn't it? We have read it already. I've given you every plant bearing seed, every green herb as a food for you and the animals. So the animals and everybody had the same food. Now that is getting changed. The Genesis or even any other place does not give a reason for that. So we have to infer what could be the reason. Bible doesn't say why it's done. So every living thing that moves is food for you. Fish in the sea, the cattle on the ground, whatever moves, you can take it as a food. Even as the green herbs, like you have been eating the plant. So now, to put it in the modern terms, God created man as a vegetarian. Yeah, we talk about vegetarian. We use the word specifically in India, vegetarian. Here they used non-meat eaters, something different word they use, but we use the word vegetarian. And we use another word, non-vegetarian. That means you can eat the meat also, right? So there is a change has come. For Adam and Eve, it was only plant, fruit, and everything. After the flood, the change has come. So in order to protect the animals, you can't just get an animal. They will run away from you. It's true also, many of the animals run away when man walks. Or there will be a conflict between man and animal. That has been introduced in Genesis chapter 9. Right? Now, the question is, why did God change the food? There is no reason given. Only thing is, if we have to infer, everything has been destroyed. Probably few plants are coming up. As man comes out along with all the animals, probably, this is again, you can also give your reasoning at the end of it if you have anything. Probably, over a period of time, there may not be enough herbs and fruits available for both man and the animals. We may wonder the whole earth is there. We do not know, because of the flood, the ground topology must have changed. We do not know all these things. So, can He grow everything everywhere? We don't know. So, God gives a provision for that, allowing the man to eat anything that is living. Now, think about it. All the clean animals, He sent 7 pairs. Unclean, He sent 1 pair. That itself, Noah's got some idea what eat, what not eat. So, chapter 9 onwards, both vegetarian and non-vegetarian food is approved by God Himself. Although the reason is not given, we are inferring maybe enough food was not there for both man and animals. Right? Having said that, verse 4, let's move on to verse 4. But you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is blood. So even in the living things, God has prohibited, you should not eat blood. So that is why, we have the kosher shops, we call it kosher. They drain the blood of all the animals and then only they give the meat. That is called kosher, if I'm correct. Let's keep moving on. Verse 5. Surely for your life blood, I will demand a reckoning. See, God created man in his own image. When he said you can eat all the living things, man is excluded. You can't be a cannibal. Although some people have become cannibals also. You can't be a cannibal. I will reckon. Now, the interesting point is, look at this. From hand of every beast, I will require it. Even a beast, if he kills a man, you can kill a beast. That provision is given in verse 5. So, if a beast, a lion, pounces on a man and kills him, he is guilty as a murderer. That's what God says. You can bring your judgment on that lion or tiger, you name it, whatever it is, whichever animal, even a dog, you can bring that animal and you can kill him. You can bring his justice to that. Mark this word. From the hand of every beast I will require it. And from the hand of man, man also. So the beast also will become a murderer if it kills a man. Man cannot be killed. That's it. You can kill every animal. You can eat it as food. For food, you can kill. That's also keep in mind. Right? You can't kill a man. Right? Very interesting. Both man and animal as well. That is why the animal protection, everything, they send the animals to the forest, let them live there, let them not come into villages or anywhere. That's right. Demarcation has come at that time. The harmony of man and animal completely destroyed. After the flood, it is totally opposite. It will continue till the return of Jesus Christ. When you see the millennium period, it goes back to the original one in many instances. That itself makes another study. Having said that, let's move on to verse 6. Whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood should be shed. So this is a capital punishment. He says if somebody sheds the blood, he can be killed. Capital punishment. For in the image of God, he made him. So in the capital punishment also, we need to keep in mind, we have brought in later on, as God has given a lot more details to Moses in Mount Sinai. So we have what is called the justice system. A judge is there, he gives the pronounce the judgment, and then the people involved, like police department or whatever you call it, they take the action. So that is how it goes. The entire justice comes on if a man is killed or murdered due to some reason. Let's move on to verse 5. As for you, be fruitful, multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply in it. God keeps on telling that. Bring forth abundantly, multiply in it. Sometimes we wonder, he told the same thing to Adam. He's telling the same thing to Noah. So what is it trying to do, if you have to think? That's why when you read Genesis, after that we need to go to Revelation to understand the entire scenario. We talked about it in the chapter 1 when we started Genesis, that's not the beginning. It's the beginning of the redemptive process of mankind. There was a beginning before that. Angels were created, and 1/3 rebelled against him. We do not know how many angels are there. 1/3 rebelled against him. Huge number. Now God is telling, I want you to spread forth, one thing, occupy the earth also. I want it to multiply also. Both, he says. I want more people. When he says, be fruitful and multiply, God is looking at the children of God. If it is Noah, all the sons should come as Noah. Don't go away from him. So God wants godly people multiplied to a large extent. When we come to the Revelation, we understand why it is. So, we keep going now. Verse 8. God spoke to Noah and to his sons with him. Wait a minute. You see the writings, if you carefully look at them, what happens? First, verse 1 says, God blessed Noah and his son and said to them. So God is speaking to the family, Noah and his sons. He's speaking to them. He's speaking to only one person. He's speaking to all of them to make sure that everybody knows what he's telling them. Then God, verse 8 we are in, then God spoke to Noah and his sons saying, what did he say? Verse 9. Look at verse 9 and 10. We'll combine them together. And as for me, behold, I establish my covenant with you. Now, Noah didn't ask for a covenant, but God himself makes a covenant. And with your descendants after you. The covenant is for you and all of mankind which comes after that. Not only that, look at verse 10. And with every living creature, all the animals, all the fishes, all the birds, that is with you. The birds, the cattle, every beast of the earth with you. Whatever is you have taken in the ark, whatever they come out, all of them, all that go out of the ark, every beast of the earth, God has made a covenant. What is the covenant? What is he making the covenant now? He has already told once. You remember that? I will not destroy the earth like what I've done before. And same thing, he's doing that, but it tells something very clearly here. Verse 11. I will establish my covenant with you. Never again shall all the flesh be cut off by the waters of flood. Never again there shall be a flood to destroy the earth. Two things he said. I'm not going to cut off all this, all the flesh. Now, what God did, when there was a problem with mankind, he cut off the animals also. Have you noticed that? He had to bring a flood because of which animals also died. Now he says, I will not cut off all the flesh, like what I did now. Right? So that is a covenant he makes. Right? So he says that I'm making a covenant with you. I'm not going to cut off all the people of this. But when you go to the historical narratives, he cuts off the people also. Canaanites, what did he tell the Israelites? Go and remove all of them out. So the thing what God says is, I will not cut off the entire population out of the world, but I may, time to time, remove certain groups of people. He has been doing that, and he is continuing to do that. Groups of people are completely removed. So we have seen that also in our history. He told King Saul, what did he say? Go against Amalekite, remove all of them, like that. God gives that kind of command. A groups only does, not the whole lot. So that is a covenant he makes. Verse 12. Now he gives a sign of the covenant. That is quite interesting and thought-provoking. This is the sign of the covenant which I make between me and you, every living creature that is with you for a perpetual generation. From now, throughout all generations, this will be a sign for a covenant. So God makes a covenant, he gives a sign. You got it? So that when we see the sign, we remember the covenant. What is the sign? Verse 13. I set my rainbow in the cloud. It shall be for the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Now that is a little bit of problem. Was there not a rainbow before? That question comes. Was there not a rain before? It appears as we read the book of Genesis. The rain was there for the first time when God opened the heavens, poured out the rain for 40 days. Before that, he says he had the rivers in the Garden of Eden. Plus, he had a mist which went out and it watered the place. Right? That is how it was there in the beginning. You read that in chapter 2. And the rivers were coming out. That's why you got the water. It appears that there was no rain till we had 40 days rain during the flood time. So there is a change in the nature which God created. From chapters 1 to 3 to chapter 7, 8, 9, he says there will be a rainbow. So when the cloud comes, there will be a rainbow. The point is, again, it's a little bit of a tricky thing, because when you see chapter 1, he divided the waters on the earth and above the earth. Wasn't there a rainbow at that time? Probably not. So he says, I set my covenant, I set a sign, that is a rainbow. We know what the rainbow is, definitely. The light refracts, so we get a rainbow. So that is always a big question, always comes. It appears that rainbow was set in chapter 9. So what happens? It shall be, we are in verse 14. It shall be when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the rainbow shall be seen in the cloud. So when you see in a cloud in the rainbow, it's a sign for mankind. Because God says, I'll remember the covenant. I know my covenant I have done, which is between you and me. So I'm setting the rainbow there. So I'm not going to destroy in a flesh. God knows that. He doesn't need to be reminded of anything. But only we need to be reminded. So the rainbow is set for us. So whenever we see a rainbow, we know that there will be never a flood in the entire world. That does not mean that God's not going to remove groups of people out of the earth. He will bring a judgment. That's true. But the rainbow is a very interesting thing. Verse 16. The rainbow shall be in the cloud. I look on it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all the flesh that is on the earth. So he says, when I see the rainbow, actually, that rainbow is there on his throne also in the book of Revelation. John sees the throne, and around the throne there's a rainbow. That shows God's has decided to show mercy to mankind in spite of the sinfulness that has crept into his creation. It is a redemptive process we are going through. Right? Verse 17. God said to Noah, this is a sign of the covenant which I have established between me and all the flesh of the earth. That is a rainbow. And we see it. Even today we see, whenever there is a time, different types of rainbows, sometimes big ones, small ones, round ones, everything we see. So this chapter 9, verse 1 to 17 is what God has been telling his children. Noah and his sons, he said very clearly what they do. They have stepped out of Mount Ararat. It's a mountain region. They must have come down a little bit to stay. We do not know. Details are not given. And they're all living together. They were living in tents. And we are going to see what happens among the family members of Noah. Let's read verse 18. Now the sons of Noah who went out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. 3 people, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now interestingly, to that is added, and Ham was the father of Canaan. So Ham and one of his sons, just one of his sons is mentioned there with the name of Canaan. So there is something connected with these people, which we are going to read now. That is why the author who wrote Genesis is attaching to that. So we are seeing 3 sons of Noah and 1 grandson, Canaan. Verse 19. These 3 were the sons of Noah. From these, the whole earth was populated. Interesting. Chapter 10, we'll be seeing from each son who came out and where they are occupying around the world today. Even today, they are in different parts. However, keep one thing in mind. There has been a mixing of all the races. So the purity of race may not be there. All mixed up everywhere nowadays. But roughly we know who went where. Those are the things there. That is in the next chapter, we'll be reading that. Now, these three people have come. Remember, one grandson is mentioned already. Verse 20. Noah began to be a farmer. That is standard. Last time also we had a question. Did Noah carry seeds? Probably. Also, because he stayed in the ark for more than a year and they were eating only fruits and the herbs. So all the seeds they had of the fruit in the ark itself would have been plenty. They would have gathered it. So Noah is starting to be a farmer. What all he planted, we do not know. He seemed to have planted a vineyard also, wine. Vineyard also he has planted, right? So he starts farming because God said, you have to farm, isn't it? That is one of the things he said to Adam. You have to farm. You are not going to get free food. You toil on the soil and you plant. What you get, you eat. So he planted a vineyard. He might have planted other things also. We are focusing on the vineyard. Then, verse 21. This is a bit of a problematic verse in the sense he drank of the wine and was drunk. Now, the point is, this baffles many Bible scholars also. A man, Noah, was so different from all others of his generation to the extent that God chose only Noah to be saved along with his children. Why did he drink and become drunk? That is what the basic question comes. There are many theories put forward. Bible doesn't talk about it. It's silent on that. It only talks the fact. So many of the things they say that probably there was no plant at that time. So he has to do the agriculture. So whatever grapes he got, additional grapes he made, the grape juice which became wine. He may not be aware of it, they say. Whether he was aware or not aware, we do not know. Because, think about it, he must have taken enough food on the ark. If he has planted a vineyard, he must have taken grapes also onto the ark. He never had this kind of a experience that he drank and became a drunkard in the ark for more than a year. So point is probably he was not aware. He made a juice. So they must be eating the fruit only, not making the juice. So some Bible scholars, quite many of them say that the first time he started making juice and then it became a wine and he didn't know that and he got drunk. Okay, whatever it is, the fact is he became drunk. So what is the net result? He became uncovered in his tent. He's in the tent, not dressed up, uncovered. He's lying there inside the tent. Now what happens? Verse 22. Look at verse 22. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brothers outside. This is how we get the difference between Shem, Japheth, and Ham. The three brothers are getting slowly differentiated. That differentiation will go down the history. We are going to study that. Even many empires have started. We are going to study from whom these empires have come. That also will connect now. So, Ham does not take any corrective action but goes and tells two brothers, Shem and Japheth. Now, what does Shem and Japheth do? But Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it both on their shoulders, went backward, covered the nakedness of the father. Their faces were turned away. They did not see their father's nakedness. Clear cut. There was no law at that time, keep in mind. But they had something of a justice and righteousness in their mind. Okay, father is lying there, drunkard. Why make a big issue of that? We will try to save our father so that not only we, but others also, when they come to the father's tent, they cannot see that. So they take a garment, go backwards, put it on, Noah. They covered it. So, one brother Ham is different. Two brothers, Shem and Japheth, are different. The Bible brings out the differentiation between these people. Verse 24. Noah awoke from the wine, knew what his younger son has done to him. How did Noah know that? So somebody must have told him in the family. It's only a small family, na? Noah, 3 sons and 3 women, the 3 wives. And then now we find his son Canaan is there. Ham's son. Now keep one thing in mind. Canaan was not there in the ark. So many years have passed. Many must have passed. They have their own children. The brothers are all having their own children. We'll see that in chapter 10. We're all born. So in the children, Canaan is put out, and he's not a small child. He is a grown-up man, and not a man. He's a boy. We can call it a boy. We don't know what age is that. So think of it. The number of years would have passed, at least 10 to 20 years must have passed from the time they stepped out. So it's not an immediate instance. Okay. Now, he awoke and he knew what Ham has done. Right? Then, what does it say in verse 25? He says he knew what his younger son has done to him. Whose younger son? Ham. Then he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants he shall be to his brethren. He curses Canaan, who is the son of Ham. Now, the details are not given. Again, we need to infer a lot. The inference is this: because he cursed Canaan, Canaan must have done something at that time. He must have seen the grandfather first, told his father Ham. That is what coming out many people feel. Otherwise, why curse Canaan so strongly? A servant of servants he shall be to his brethren. Why did he do that so strong? And look at verse 26. And Noah said, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, may Canaan be his servant. Shem and Canaan. So Canaan should become the servant of Shem. Think of that, right? Because when we go to the next few chapters, we are going to see what exactly was happening. This is not God's curse. Keep that in mind. This is Noah doing that. God didn't say anything on this. We are not reading that God cursed Canaan. Noah is cursing Canaan. Verse 27. May God enlarge Japheth. May he dwell in the tents of Shem. That's an interesting thing. May Canaan be his servant. So Canaan should be servant of Shem and also Japheth. That's what it says here, right? Now, pause for a moment. Before we go to chapter 10, we'll be studying quite a lot, but I can just give some comments on this. If you take Japheth, out of Japheth, when we'll be studying that in the coming chapters, the Greeks came. You remember Alexander the Greek? Greek Empire? The Romans came. They're all from the Japheth group. We can see that later on, right? And from Shem came most prominent group. Many people came. Jews are one prominent group. Israelites, Abraham is of the Shem's race. You got it? Now, the Greeks and Romans ruled the Israelites. Look at verse 27. May God enlarge Japheth. May he dwell in the tents of Shem. Let him go and occupy Israel. It happened. Probably it's prophetic, or it did happen. Because not everything which is said is happening. That's all also we are going to see that. But this has happened. Definitely we see some of the races, if not all. Now, we are now taking from Shem only the Israelites. What about the other groups? There are so many groups from Shem and so many from Japheth also. If you take some of them, yes, it does happen to be like that. Okay. Then, most interesting thing is one of the group from Ham's race is the group called Canaanites. The Bible is focusing on that so much. God calls the descendants of Abraham, go to the promised land and destroy every one of the Canaanites and occupy their land. As he said that. But Canaan is the son of Ham. Out of it comes all the Canaanites. That is also coming true. Right? Now, interestingly, the most interesting part is one of the biggest problem in the world, if you notice it, today it's all removed out, is the slavery of a man by another man. And especially in the country of USA, they said, why did you keep your slaves? And a lot of things, even today, they talk about it. Reparation, you give us back some money for keeping us as slaves. All these things are coming. Now, if you go into the depth, slavery was started by Ham's race. It's a Ham's race who took their own people. If there are two brothers or cousins are there, one group will go and subjugate the other group and take them as slaves and sell them to Japheth and Shem's groups. Interesting, very interesting. You study that in the slavery. I've been looking at it and I was surprised it is what the Bible says is correct. Ham started that. So there is something connected with that when he said Canaan will be the servant. Some places it is true, but Canaan was not all the time a servant. I'll tell you, we'll see that next chapter when you come, you're going to see something totally different. It is totally a reversal of what Noah said. Canaan shall be a servant of Shem. And also Japheth, he said, no. Out of Canaan came Egyptians. And the Israelites were slaves under the Egyptians. They came from Shem. It's the reverse. So these are all there, but it takes some time for us to understand what is exactly happening. Verse 28. Noah lived after the flood 350 years. He lived 350 years. Huge time. So all the days of Noah were 950 years and Noah died. So Noah is a unique man. He built an ark. It took him 100 years to do it. He obeyed God and built an ark. He saved himself and his family. Also, all the animals which he took with him. He landed in a place in Turkey today, Ararat. From there, he started his life again. And he lived 350 years after the flood. So his children must have grown. They would have moved out, trying to follow what God has told him. And he dies at the age of 950. This is the incidents in chapter 10 we have seen. So from chapter 10 onwards, after that, we go there, the total change comes to the humanity. The entire, till now, Noah and his children were speaking the same language. I slowly will find as they spread out, God intervenes in what they are doing and brings a division of languages and everything. Today we are totally divided. We're going to see it in the next few chapters. So we have completed, as on today, the global flood, the effect of the flood, and what was the result when Noah stepped out and the changes God brought in. Keep in mind, from eating herbs and fruits, he said you can eat animals. So anything which is living, you can eat. Number one. Second thing is, man should not be killed, either by mankind or even animals. Even animals are treated as murderers. That's the second part he has brought in. Third thing is, rain will be there on the earth, and you'll see a rainbow coming on that. Remember, I will never destroy the entire population, both mankind and all the living things, like I did once during the global flood. These three things God establishes in chapter which we read just now, chapter 9. So, we will be continuing, God willing, chapter 10 onwards. We're going to see a lot more things coming in the Genesis. As I said, Genesis is not a, okay, it's a narrative, but a lot of things, if you ponder, you have many things to think about, infer, and all. It is not that easy. Why the rainbow is given, how was it, all these things are difficult things. It comes there. So, before we go for prayer, there are a few minutes are left as usual. Feel free to give your comments. We would like to your point of view. You may have a different point of view also. Please speak out. Any questions if you have, kindly unmute your phone and speak. Time is open for all of you for a few more minutes.
The earth, yes. Before the Noahic flood, its axis was 90 degrees. So there was equal night and day, or all the earth. That is what climatologists, Christian climatologists have inferred. So just the mist came up and wetted the whole surface of the earth. So there was there cannot be any rainbow, because as soon as the sun comes up, the mist will dissipate. So that was the cause. And we can see that they have found out the buried mammoths, that is very giant elephants, in Siberia. And
okay.
In their mouths, the vegetation of the tropics is found, and so fresh that animals can eat that, and and even the flesh of the mammoth was so fresh that the dogs would like to eat it. So how can it be that in the polar region, there are, because it froze quickly. The Lord struck the axis of the earth, and the earth became, 23.5 degrees. It
tilted, yeah.
Yeah, it tilted. And therefore there are seasons. And because of that, what happened that around the subtropical areas, that is beyond the 23 degrees north and south, on every continent on the west side, you find large tracts of desert, waterless, all over the globe. In the Asian regions, the western side. In Africa, western regions, the whole tract of Sahara, from Atlantic all the way. And also in America, you see the arid region, the Arizona and all those. And also in the southern, it's also Atacama Desert in Latin America. And so in Africa also, there is the desert there. Oh, so you see that. So therefore, the Lord gave men to eat all the animals, because the food supply was not enough.
Yeah.
And for nourishment. And you see that also, therefore, you have the different food habits of different men living in different regions of the earth.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. Very nice comment.
Praise the Lord, sir. This is Albert.
Yes, brother, go ahead.
I have I have a small question. regarding this clean and unclean animals which were taken in Noah's Ark. So after the flood, the clean and unclean animals have been permitted by God Himself to be eaten, or like what is it?
After the flood, God said, "You eat the animals." He didn't differentiate the animals. The differentiation comes only in Mount Sinai when Moses was there. He said, "These are the food habits." He spelled it out in all clarity only once to Moses. That is all written there. Till that time, he didn't say, "You have to eat this or that." But Noah would have known by looking at seven pairs. Now, one more thing, think of it. Seven pairs will multiply more compared to one pair. So naturally, you will have more clean animals available after the flood than unclean animals. Because clean animals were seven pairs, unclean is one pair.
Yeah, but I just want to understand, like after the after Noah had came out of the Noah's Ark, I mean his Ark. So did God permit, saying that because of whatever reason, probably because of lack of food or whatever, but did He permit us to eat? Because He says you can eat everything which is moving.
Yes, he said
So
everything. He didn't restrict there,
yeah,
clean or unclean. He said everything moving. That's all he said.
okay. So another one question regarding with the same subject. When it came to offertory, when it came to giving a sacrifice, how did I mean, where did this wisdom come from? Like, did God say that these are the animals which you have to sacrifice, or these are the things which are acceptable, and these are not the things which are not acceptable? What can you please tell us something
No.
about that?
In Genesis, there is no instruction from God as such. When Noah stepped out, in all probability, out of gratitude, he has seen with his own eyes for more than 1 year, everything has died. Every man, woman, every human being, every animal has died. Only his family is saved, and he had enough food. He is probably thankful to God. So, in chapter 8, verse 20, when Noah comes back, he builds an altar. Now, where did he get that idea of to put an altar? Altar is making out of stone. So he wanted to sacrifice an animal. How he got the idea? We don't know. Bible doesn't say that. He says, took of every clean beast, every clean fowl, offered burnt offerings on the altar. Fowl and animals, he burnt them for God. Now, why he did it? Why he got that idea? Nothing is mentioned. How he got it, that also we do not know. And only thing is, if you go back to their ancestors, Cain and Abel, they also brought something. You remember that? Cain brought the, Abel brought firstlings of the flock, and Cain brought whatever he had in the agriculture food. So Abel must have brought the animal as probably as a burnt offering to God. Noah must be knowing that. And when Cain killed Abel, Noah must be knowing from historical background, okay, my forefathers did this, probably I should do it. He might have done that. That is what I feel. Others also can comment on that, why he sacrificed clean animals.
Thank you, Pastor.
Any other comments, questions? Right. No further comments or questions. Over to
One more question, please, regarding the three children of Noah, since no one else has any other question. So, is there any resemblance, or is there any thing mentioned about the colorization of Canaan because he was cursed by Noah?
no.
Like some people believe, I mean, I heard this saying that because he was cursed, and that's how the African race became, I mean, they turned to be so black and so dark, or something like that. Is it true, or is there anything like that?
No, the Bible doesn't talk anything about color at all.
Mm.
Nothing is mentioned there. So it's only people infer. As I told you also, now, when I came to the western side, the first time when I came, I was taken aback. One person from Dutch area, they said slavery is approved in the Bible. I said, how? He showed me the Canaan's case. So he has to be a slave for others. So people take it like that, basically. But historically, if we go down and check out, very interesting, the Ham people were started the human slavery. Their race only was starting themselves. Among them, they fought. Among them, they made slaves. Among them, they started selling to others. As far as the color is concerned, we do not know, because when God created, so we all came from Noah, let's be clear, not from Adam, because everybody died and Noah is there. Today we have white, yellow, brown, black, you name it, all the colors are there. So how the color changes, we do not know. Some people say it may be due to the area in which they lived and the climate changes. Accordingly, we do that. And if you see the colors also, the people in China are one color, Japanese are one, Europeans are one. Have you noticed that? Africans are one
Yes.
color,
Yes.
Asians are one color, like that. Of course, now we are mixing up. A lot of travel and resettling here and there, so there's a mix up also comes. As far as your question is concerned, there's nowhere it says Canaan was black. Nowhere it says that.
Mm. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you. Right. If there is no further question, over to Brother Epi.